Gorilla Monsoon.
And I'm thankful that I'm not.
Oh, you just can't help yourself, can you, huh?
I don't help anyone. Unless they've got the cash.
Yeah, I'm gonna help you out the door if you don't stop.
If you can fit
anyway,
through
folks,
it.
I'm gonna knock you out.
Excuse me, but is anyone gonna introduce me, bro?
All right. And this is Vince Russo.
I thought it was the mailman.
Why don't you be serious?
Smells like one.
Well, what the frig, bro?
All right, enough. Folks, coming up in just a short is a podcast hosted by two guys you've never heard of and probably never will.
Monsoon knows a guy who knows a guy, if you know what I'm saying.
I get it.
Oh, will you stop? Folks, Chris and George or something, they do the Hot Tag podcast, and here it is.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hot Tag Wrestling Show. I'm Christy Francesco. George Rogers is with you, as always. We are here to cover Vengeance from back in 2001. Very notable pay-per-view for sure. This is where we crowned the very first ever undisputed champion within the WWF. But yeah, a lot on this show to pick through. However, I'm going to do something in the beginning here that I haven't done, I think, yet. This is the 121st episode of the Hot Tag Wrestling Podcast. And George, I'm going to start the show off with AEW.
All right, I'm out.
But however, like I said to George as he disappears into the brick wall, Pink Floyd would be happy. So I'm going to start. I'm just going to go to you because I really don't have an opinion. Because I'll just go off on a tangent that will end up it'll end up like a Ric Flair promo where I'm just going to ride off into a tangent and it'll end up me sitting in another part of my house talking about books. So it's just going to be really not sensical because I hate them so much.
You'll also start pointing at different women around saying, "I'll please you too, fat lady. Come to my room later."
That's right. Absolutely.
Chris, you're by yourself in that room. This doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. So our tribal leader, Tony Khan, who his great show, the Washington Redskins tribe, they're dead. Just like Tony Khan. So the fearless leader over down there, Tony Khan, whose main show at 8 p.m. on a major network, unopposed, couldn't draw over 800,000 people this past week, went on this Twitter rant and went after, of all people, Jinder Mahal for some reason. So I'm assuming this was, it's alleged. Assuming an alleged coke burst out from Tony Khan. Dude, what are your thoughts on it? Looks like everything, and it's beautiful. It looks like everything is just unraveling from the seams within that company. And like you and I and Dean have said since day one, the number one problem with All Elite Wrestling is the guy who runs the ship. And dude, this keeps getting worse with this guy. His shows can't draw anything. I'll give them credit. They're a very good pay-per-view company, but so is TNA for a while. But still, they're a good pay-per-view company. When they go overseas, they draw really good crowds. I mean, but then again, CZW could draw good crowds if they did a European tour because that European market loves their pro wrestling. But dude, in the States here, this company is all but dead. I mean, and it's because of this guy. I hate the Bucks. I think they suck. I think they've always sucked. I think 75% of their roster sucks. But still, I wouldn't care so much if Tony Khan wasn't at the head of this. I'm going to go to you here. What is your thoughts on this latest rant that just makes him look so bad? But what's your thoughts on Tony Khan and how this company is just literally digging itself into a hole, and their leaders, their pillars like the Omegas, the the little fatty from Fozzy, Chris Jericho, who is just literally a ghost, and Sting, who technically, I mean, he's always stayed out of the politics of the wrestling business, so good on him for that. But it seems like everything is falling on Tony Khan. There's no one defending this guy. There's no one helping him out. Where are you on the state of AEW as it stands right now?
Well, let's take a look at the Twitter nonsense of the past couple days. Mainly Tuesday was when everything kind of spiraled out of control. There was something that was posted. I think it was about some match. Then USA Network commented on it, saying, "Oh, well, what's the cage match score?" Because
that's right.
That is apparently the big deciding factor. Now, great, Chris, you and I are lifelong wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, we don't typically pay as much attention now as we have in previous years.
Mm-hmm.
But we've followed it pretty steadily
Mm-hmm.
for a very long time.
Yeah.
I have literally only found out about this cage match website like 3 months ago.
Same.
But apparently they just go up there, and then the people who I guess can register on it, they can give ratings to different matches. It's clear bullshit.
It's clear that Tony Khan has about 50 burner accounts on this thing.
You ain't fucking kidding, because the only people who care about that are the same people that listen to good old Uncle Dave on his bullshit reports.
Right.
I'm talking about Meltzer, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about. I mean, you should.
You should.
It's a fucking given. But like, Tony retweeted it and just lost his fucking mind.
He really did.
Basically, just talking about, like, why is Jinder Mahal getting a title shot? He hasn't won a match in over a year. Why is he getting a title shot? But then, like, Hook gets a title shot and he's 28-1, so it only makes sense for him to get a title shot. And here's the thing. The thing with Hook, that started on Wednesday. He mentioned this on Tuesday.
Yep.
Dude blew his fucking plans for his show the night before on Twitter. Idiot.
Which is glorious.
Fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even out like Hook's getting a title shot. He came out to challenge Samoa Joe with 2 other people. So, I mean, that's probably a fatal 4-way. I wonder where he got the idea for that. But I digress. But this is a man who is the owner of I don't want to say it, but I have to. He's the owner of a major wrestling promotion in America. Mm-hmm. They have a TV deal. They get pay-per-views. They do make money. They don't make a lot of money, but if they're making $1, that's still a profit. And he's just losing his mind, just comparing to something. And by going after Jinder, what he has basically done in the greatest way ever, he has put over somebody who isn't even in his company. Now Jinder is going to have this massive following just from people who hate Tony Khan.
He was trending worldwide.
Yeah, he even said it on the. I don't typically watch the Bump because I don't watch a lot of stuff that's on YouTube. In terms of the content, but like even Jinder was talking, he's like, "Oh, we're trending on. I was trending on Twitter," and but he didn't mention anything else. But it's like, yeah, we know why you were trending on Jinder or where you were trending on Tinder or not Tinder. Twitter. There's too many. Those all those words sound alike. And I'm sober, so take from that what you will. But he's trending, and like that's the reason why, is because this idiot, this owner of this major wrestling company, is going on and just bitching about it. And I'm seeing a lot of comparisons. People talking like, "Oh, well, Eric Bischoff would have done the same thing." And I was listening to Disco on Conan and Keeping It 100.
Eric Bischoff was drawing 2.5s and 3s. Like, who cares?
But Disco also brought up a very good point. The Eric Bischoff that we saw on TV was not the Eric Bischoff who was behind the scenes.
Correct.
Same thing with Vince McMahon. The Mr. McMahon character we saw on TV is not the same Vince McMahon who was backstage. They're, at the end of the day, Vince and Eric, business. Paul Heyman, business. I mean, Paul Heyman was on some shady business, but still business nonetheless.
Right.
Behind the scenes, it's like, they're still running companies.
Yeah.
Tony's trying to run a company and be like the social media ambassador at the same time. It's like, dude, you need to fucking stop, because now you're damaging your product for the first time in a long time. Well, since the day they went head to head when they moved to a Tuesday to go against NXT, and then WWE responded by having Cena and Undertaker show up on NXT. Like, they didn't draw 800,000. They drew 796. That's 5,000 less than what they did the week before. Not a big drop, but still, if you're Turner or the main company that owns them, like HBO, Discovery, Warner Bros. Discovery, and you're looking at that, and you are considering picking up Monday Night Raw, you have no problem dropping this sinking ship to grab something that's actually making money and getting ratings.
Like, you're looking at like a company like NXT, who, I'll say this again, is a developmental brand. It's a C brand in the global juggernaut of WWE.
Yeah.
They are what, at maybe 50,000 away from weekly competing with the flagship program of All Elite Wrestling. Like NXT, who most wrestling fans probably can't name 15 people on that roster, are close to literally competing weekly with AEW. I mean, NXT beats their B show and their C show and whatever other letter show in the alphabet on YouTube that they post every week. NXT, the developmental brand, beats all their other shows who has their main roster talent on it and is, on a major television network. NXT still beats all of them.
NXT did 722,000 on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
The C show did 60,000 less than the A flagship show for AEW.
Yep, I know. And like this is the thing that I don't understand, where the AEW select fan base, where Tony Khan gets behind a microphone in front of media. I mean, probably media that he's paid off, but media nonetheless. And he's sitting there saying, "Oh, these are the greatest shows we've ever run. This and that, like our numbers on Cage Match are so high." How can you sit there as a billionaire behind a microphone and you defend 700,000 people watching a television show with Cage Match ratings? Hey, and then you go on Twitter and you do exactly what you do when, being the clown fanboy that you are, is you bring up the other company and another wrestler who just was on a segment with literally probably the most recognizable wrestler of all time, did a 2.2 in that segment with The Rock, and you're gonna bring up Jinder Mahal as like a way of defending your decision making and defending your honor. Why don't you just never talk about them ever again and act like they don't even exist? Because to them, you're a pimple on a hamster's ass. You are nothing to them. Like, I don't understand where the more he talks about WWE, his rating, they go lower and lower. Of course, there's still that, that smooth brain audience who will continue to say, oh, well, they're competing against this, they're competing against that. And then their owner, their overlord, Tony Khan, will go and say the same thing, that, our ratings are great. We're doing wonderful. We're almost selling out Wembley. I don't know what that has to do with his television product. I'm going to say this again. Very first episode of Dynamite was a 1.4. They have never come close to that again.
Nope.
And now they're under 800,000 people. There was a time they were averaging 950,000 viewers a week.
Mm-hmm.
So can anybody tell me where the 150,000 fans went from 950 to 800? Nobody wants to. Every week, if I ever bring this up on Twitter, I get the AEW bots, which is probably like Tony Khan's is like 18 cousins, are tweeting me back saying, well, that's not how ratings work. One, I understand how ratings work. I've paid attention to them for 30 years. What I'm trying to say,
your wife worked in the movie industry.
Correct.
You have
I worked in radio.
Contacts. Yeah, you understand how ratings work.
So, but my point being is, I get week to week ratings, I get quarter ratings, the quarter hours, all that stuff. When you have a 1.4 and you average now around 800 and what, 20, 25, 850.
You're being generous, but yeah.
Where did those dedicated viewers go?
Where did 600,000 people go?
Where did 600,000 people on Wednesday nights just magically go?
They were like, it was like they tuned in. Oh, let me see what this is. Oh, this is more of the same of what I've got before. I don't care.
So, and then if let's just say you want to just cancel out and be like, okay, the 1.4 and all that was just a one-time thing, blah, blah, blah. Let's go to when they were at 950,000 a week, which was good. It's very good. Now we're at 800.
That was only a year ago.
About a year ago. Where'd the 150 go? 150,000 people. Where did they go? And I never get a straight answer from people. It's simple. You're not putting out a product that people want to watch. That's simple. Why is Raw not pumping out 3s and 4s like they used to? Because it's not a good enough product, and they added a third hour, which obviously is a huge money revenue for them, but it's a massive turnoff for the fan base. If Raw was 8 to 10, I guarantee it's a 2.5, between a 2 and 2.5 every week, basically kind of like SmackDown. That's what Raw would be.
And here's the thing, and here was the big defense or the big argument where people are talking about, Jinder getting the title shot, and they're like, how it's been a year, and people are like, oh, well, you just gave Abaddon a title shot and she hasn't been on TV in like 2 fucking years. And then his argument is like, oh, well, she won a fatal 4-way against 3 other great wrestlers. The first thing you're using the term great wrestler way too fucking generous.
Always.
For that women's division, because I watched that match, Julia Hart versus Abaddon. It ended on a botched moonsault that they still counted the 3 on. Julia Hart didn't even fucking touch Abaddon on the moonsault, but they still counted the 3. As a fan, I'm supposed to suspend my disbelief and assume that she hit her when I see the fact that she didn't. Get the fuck out of here. No one's buying this shit. The product is bad because nobody's being trained. And there are legends that were backstage, but no one listened to any of their advice. That came straight from Tully Blanchard himself. Tully was saying, because Tully's not with the company anymore, not like you noticed, because he's Tully Blanchard. But Tully Blanchard said he was interviewed by, I think it was like Bill Apter or somebody. I can't remember who it was. But somebody asked him like, oh, did anybody come up to you for advice? And he said, he's like, listen, like me and Arn would sit backstage all the time talking. Not a single person would come up to us for advice. Because the people in that company, the people that wrestle for that company, the main people, I'm not talking about like the people who are kind of just starting out and like, this is our first or, maybe third year in the business and they're kind of getting their feet wet. But I'm talking about people like the Bucks. I'm talking about people like that dumbass Britt Baker. People like Ricky Starks and Sammy Guevara, all they do is listen to that fucking idiot Dave Meltzer. And if Meltzer says you're doing good, they're like, oh, well, then I don't need to change anything. I would be good. Meltzer's not your benchmark. He's just he's an opinion head. He's just the most notable name that's out there to get approval from. He's just he's all he is opinions. The Wrestling Observer is nothing but his opinions. He's not the end all be all. Just like us, everything we say is opinions.
That's all. And like people and then Tony Khan brings up Jinder Mahal. When was the last time Malachi Black had a singles match?
Malachi Black didn't have a singles match in all of 2023. And then if you want to, and then he brings up Hook's record. Or like Hook is like he's 28
in a worked wrestling world.
All right, so Hook. All right, so let's. All right, I'll allow this proposition for the record. Right, so Hook is 28-1. Hook has been in that company since its infancy. You're telling me Hook has only had 29 matches in 4 years?
I still laugh at the record in a work sport.
And that grants him a title shot?
Yeah, it's
Here's the thing. This will be my defense of Jinder Mahal getting a title shot. 2 weeks ago, they built up, or not 2 weeks ago, last week, they built up the return of a WWE champion. We all assumed it was going to be The Rock, and because we knew The Rock was in the area. Granted, it was, but Jinder Mahal was the one that came out. And it's like, oh yeah, he is a former champion. Now, Jinder Mahal is a former champion. He comes out, he cuts a damn good heel promo, has an in-ring segment with the biggest star
in the world,
in wrestling, in wrestling in the world. The most notable name, Dwayne Johnson. People like us know him as The Rock. Younger folks know him as Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
He has a segment with him in the ring. And then the next week, Jinder has a segment in the ring with the world champion, and it leads to a title match. And it's like, and they're like, oh, well, I'm supposed to believe he's number one contender. He's not. I mean, I guess for all intents and purposes, he is. But Seth Rollins is also a fighting champion. How do you get ratings? You put your title on the line on TV. We know Jinder's not. Exactly. We know Jinder's not going to win.
Yeah.
But Seth is a draw.
And it's a heel.
See Seth wrestle. He's a heel. That's how this works.
Yeah.
This is how this works, Tony. This is how you book. Jinder right now is hot, thanks to you. So he's going to get a title shot. Yeah. That's what you do. When someone's hot, you put them on TV. You don't put them on TV and then as they get hot and then pull them off.
Yeah.
Like you did with everybody else.
I agree. It's going to be fun to see where this goes, but we're 21 minutes in, so let's get to the reason why we're here. To see, I knew in the beginning when I told George I got something for you, and I didn't tell him. I knew it was going to run off into this because
I figured that's what it was. You're like, oh, I got something for you. It's like, well, I know you're not pulling out. I know you're not pulling out like a Creed video, so.
Oh, that would be just amazing.
Yeah. What if it was, Chris? What if?
All right, so the reason we are here tonight is to cover one of our 2 episodes this week. We have another one coming. I believe we are covering Royal Rumble 2005 this weekend, so looking forward to talking about that. But tonight it's Vengeance from all the way back in 2001. Dude, incredible that this is 22 years ago. Like it's hard to even believe sometimes, decades, right? So just 2001. So this took place December 9th. Yes, we're covering this late. I apologize, but I'm a man of my word. I owed this to George. He chose this, and I want to get this done. Plus, I watched this like a month ago, and he's watched it already, so he had to do it. December 9th, 2001. George, did you watch this pay-per-view live?
I did.
So did I.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, this was a big one, actually.
I also thought Triple H was going to return at this pay-per-view, considering how there was
considering he was on the poster.
He was on the poster, and they were using a sledgehammer during the vignettes when they were talking about it. It would come up, it would bang out the word vengeance. Yeah, I'm like, maybe this means Triple H is going to come back. Boy, was I wrong.
We all were.
I'd have to wait a couple weeks.
Yeah. But it was worth it. This is the final WWF pay-per-view of 2001. And this was at a time when WWF decided to unify 2 world titles to create one undisputed champion here. Since the WWF rivalry with WCW was done, they wanted to get rid of some of the titles they had from WCW. We can't have any of that WCW crap. That meant a main event on this show where the current champion, Stone Cold Steve Austin, would defend the title against Kurt Angle in one match, while the world heavyweight champion, The Rock, would defend that title against Y2J Chris Jericho. And then after that, of course, the winners of those matches would meet to determine who would be the new and first ever undisputed WWF champion. 4 superstars, 3 matches. Just big, man. It was, you may think a show with this kind of talent and the stakes here would have drawn a bigger pay-per-view number, but it actually had the least amount of pay-per-view buys in 2001. It did 315,000 buys, which made it pretty low compared to other shows that year. And look, we've always talked about this. December pay-per-views are always pretty much the lowest viewed pay-per-views for pro wrestling in those eras of the pay-per-view era. So it's still weird though, man. I know people by this time, December 9th, are paying for Christmas presents and doing all that stuff and worrying about other things. But man, as a wrestling fan, I'm thinking 2 world title matches in one night's going to combine for a third to crown an undisputed champion. Damn, this is pretty big. Like there's so much historical stakes here. And I was just really surprised to see that number was so low. But here we are. The other newsworthy thing in WWF at the time was Ric Flair was the quote-unquote co-owner with Vince McMahon. So, they, of course, weekly would, Flair's the babyface here. Vince is the heel owner. This would lead to that roster split brand extension taking place after WrestleMania 18 months later in 2002. But this was the first time WWE used Vengeance as a pay-per-view name, and it was the only time that it was ever used in December. The show followed Survivor Series from 2001, which was a really good show, and obviously led into the Royal Rumble 2002, which was an all-time great Royal Rumble. All right, so let's get right into it, man. December 9th, 2001, WWE Armageddon from the San Diego Sports Arena in San Diego, California. We get a pay-per-view here, George, that opens with a promo from Vince McMahon. How about that, George? A big-time pay-per-view opening up with a promo. What do you think?
Takes me back.
Takes me back. Look, so Vince McMahon comes out. It's he made his entrance without showing some enthusiasm. He always does. He just walks down to the ring. It's because the previous SmackDown he received a stink face from Rikishi because The Rock forced him to do so. The Rock took advantage of Vince McMahon. Rock shoved his face into Rikishi's ass. Of course, the fans get a really big cheer here.
What a great segment that was on SmackDown.
Brilliant. They should have just one of the greatest creative pieces I've seen.
Well, it's even better because The Rock comes out to stop the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club. And it's like, you're going to kiss different ass. Then Jim Ross comes out. And there's he's there like Vince or The Rock took JR's hat and put on Vince like, oh, you like that? You like that, Tex? Yeah.
So
and
good.
And then he stops him from Kiss Jim Ross. Then he calls Trish out, and Vince basically just gets an erection immediately as he's going to dive. And then The Rock stops him and calls him a sick freak. Little did we know what the truth was.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure Chris Jericho was backstage sitting there like, oh, I would do that against her will. And
long-term storytelling.
The longest term storytelling. And then our man Rikishi, Big Quiche, big ass. He did it for The Rock, man.
Jericho and Vince, they worked themselves into a shoot, brother. First match, we finally get to a match here, and I wish we didn't. But it's Scotty 2 Hotty and Albert versus.
You are so disrespectful to Scotty 2 Hotty. It is embarrassing.
He's disrespecting himself by taking a job with AEW.
Listen. Man just wants to work. He's got a family to take care of.
You're right. Good for him. You're right. Sky 2 Hotty and Albert. I can't wait for Sky 2 Hotty to become the AEW champion in 4 months. Sky 2 Hotty and Albert versus Christian and Test.
He'll get crippled first.
Yes, he will. Sky 2 Hotty and Albert, of course, get the win here just after 6 minutes. Scotty did, the worm on Test with that deadly finishing maneuver.
Deadliest.
Just so deadly.
Dude, the worm was over.
Oh, it was great. Oh yeah. It would be over today if he did it on TV. It would be over.
I mean, Otis does it every now and then, it gets a pop, so
exactly. So we get to the next match here, Intercontinental Championship. Edge versus William Regal. This one ends in about a little over 9 minutes. Edge got the pinfall. I actually thought this was not a bad match. I've always said this before. I love anything with William Regal. And I think this was an Edge here where he was trying to find himself as a legitimate singles competitor. I really do think that. Always a big fan of Edge, especially during this era. They did, I thought, a nice job of going for quick pinfalls throughout the match. Regal was known for cheating, so he tried to do that in this match often. But, Edge was right there and hit a spear. which, Regal's cheating attempt failed. But this was a pretty decent match, man. What did you think of 2001 Edge?
Listen, man, Regal had that. He had that nastiest left hook, man. That power of the punch.
Yeah,
we don't know this brass knucks. We're just assuming. But
exactly,
It's just a really strong punch. Don't be disrespectful, Chris.
That's right.
Don't call this man a cheater.
I'm sorry.
He's a straight shooter.
Rick.
He's a good upstanding British man. But yes, but 2001 Edge, that was definitely trying to find his footing and find his momentum to becoming the single star that we know now.
I miss those Edge tights back then.
Oh yeah, man. Unlike now where he's, I don't know, a member of the Hells Angels.
He should just go on Aquaman and just do things with Momoa, doing Momoa things on screen.
It's like he's doing his version of Taker's American Badass.
Yes. Yeah.
The only thing that's missing is Edge come down to the ring on a motorcycle.
Isn't it really sad to see Edge there? Like, it's become sad for me.
It's not. I mean, it's sad after I saw the highlights of that match you have with Christian from World's End. I mean, Edge not really known for botching and working pretty clean. Goes to powerbomb Nick Wayne and misses the fucking flaming table.
Yeah, it was
it's like,
really...
dude, you're Edge.
Yes.
I mean, I guess Adam Copeland is not the accomplished wrestler that Edge is.
I guess not. It's a mentality.
I guess when he lost the name, he lost his talent.
I guess. Ric Flair's shown talking on a cell phone in his office. Kurt Angle walked into Flair's office saying, "You will never win a gold medal like Angle." Kurt said that Flair has never been undisputed champion, but Angle is going to do it tonight. Flair said Kurt had the ability to do it, and Kurt Angle said he'd beat Steve Austin. Then he'll beat the winner of Rock and Jericho. Angle kept saying he's going to do it, and Flair just kept saying that's awesome. And it was just a meaningless segment. Just a strange night.
But it was good. Like we still had like comedy Angle here, where he's just being overly goofy.
Yeah.
But still serious when he needs to be. But he's having those segments with Flair where he's trying to be intimidating, insulting to Flair. And Flair's like, yeah, all right, just go do it.
Yeah,
go. Like, he's basically, it's almost like he's saying, like, just shut the fuck up and get out of my office.
Yes.
Leather jacket, turtleneck, Ric Flair.
Love it.
What a guy.
What a guy. Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy. Again, we're seeing something that people have always wanted to see on a Vengeance pay-per-view in December. But look, the roster is so stacked back then. This is just what happens. Jeff Hardy gets the win here after 12 minutes. It was clear in 2001, and it was always clear before and after that Jeff was the star. Jeff was the guy that people cared about. When Jeff came out to the ring on this night, that pop was huge. Matt got maybe half the pop that Jeff got. So it was even clear here, dude. Like, the WWE liked Jeff Hardy a lot. And I felt like anytime they had to give a chance for Jeff Hardy to shine, he did. I mean, until his next off issues outside of the wrestling ring. But it was very clear that WWE had so much interest in Jeff as a singles competitor. Matt, they kind of do what he wants and become like a decent mid-carder. But dude, even in 2001, George, it was clear like Jeff is a future single star.
Man, Lita got a bigger pop than Matt did.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not saying much. I mean, shit. I mean, I'm talking to you, looking at me.
Yeah,
we're gonna cheer Lita 10 times out of 10.
Absolutely.
But like, it's just I was never on the Matt train.
No.
I mean, I like the broken stuff that he did in TNA. 15 fucking years after this debacle.
Yeah.
But it's. Jeff was always going to be the star. Jeff was the one who was over with the fans. Jeff's the one who's doing all the Daredevil shit and sort of walking away from it, and maybe walking away from it and get a little help to get through the pain, if you know what I mean. That's going to hurt him later.
Yep.
But Jeff was the one. Jeff had the it factor that Matt didn't have, and it was obvious then.
Was so apparent that Jeff just had that it factor. But I will say, every single time these two were in the ring going up against each other in any fashion, there was zero chemistry with these two against each other. It was always disappointing to me, and this was disappointing as well. They didn't do a lot of high spots. It was more about the story of Matt just working over Jeff's like injured left leg, and then Jeff coming back and Lita being a fair referee the whole way. I don't know if there was a plan for the Hardys to split after this or what, but they would get back together as a tag team quite a few times. The official split was in 2002 later on, but there were so many reunions. So then they had that more personal rivalry in 2009, I believe 2010, when Matt turned heel to cost Jeff the WWE title. But I just thought these two never gelled when they were against each other. And I think that's because Jeff was just so superior than Matt in the ring, especially athletically. From an athletical standpoint, and it's not even a comparison. Matt, even in 2001, couldn't move great. And Jeff was just a battering ram. Jeff was all over the place nonstop, which made this just bad chemistry. It was oil and water.
Yeah, Matt was mid at best.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying Jeff was any better when it comes to wrestling ability, but Jeff moved. He could move. He could move right now. He could, when he's running the ropes, it looked good. He ran fast. Matt runs the ropes, looks kind of slow, looks kind of sloppy. Looks like you or me trying to run the ropes.
Yes.
Not great. You with your broken finger and me with my broken body. It just, still moving better.
Right.
2001 Matt Hardy.
Next up, we have a WWE Tag Team Championships, the Dudley Boys, with Stacy Keibler. 2001 Stacy Keibler versus the Big Show and Kane. I always grunt anytime I see anything with the Big Show, but dude, the Big Show in 2001 was a big boy. Big boy. The Dudley Boys get the pin here by pinfall after 6 minutes and 55 seconds.
Rightfully so.
Dude, this was just not good. And I feel bad because I love Kane.
To quote good old Jim Ross, this was bowling shoe ugly.
It was not a pretty match, you heard him say.
No, sir. I mean, it's a shame because I like the Dudleys and I like Kane.
Yeah.
And they always try to put Kane and Big Show together as a tag team.
I know.
And I don't understand it. It's like they had no chemistry together, which is saying something because Kane can work well with just about anybody except maybe a handful of people, and Big Show is one of them.
Yep. I agree. Anything with the Big Show now, I look back and go, ugh, just do I have to fast forward this? So here we go. Next up is something I really enjoyed, and I'm not even an RVD fan, but I really enjoyed this because I enjoyed this mostly because it shows just how great the Undertaker is and always will be. Hardcore Championship, RVD versus the Undertaker. As always, Undertaker doing what he's told and putting over other people. This was just at the end here, man. The winner in pinfall by pinfall, new hardcore champ was the Undertaker, but he made RVD look like $1 billion in this match. I gave this match 4 stars. It was just spectacular. A lot of action, unique spots throughout. Because a lot of the match was outside of the ring, but again, hardcore matches back then, that's pretty much what it was. The final spot in the match was, I thought, laid out great. Even with the padding as part of that bump under the table.
Oh, yeah.
It's still not easy for somebody to take that bump regardless. No. So kudos to RVD trusting that the Undertaker to hit that choke slam perfectly to do a move like that.
And Taker had just turned heel a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So this was like RVD basically standing up for everybody that Undertaker was bullying the fuck out of. Because when he went heel, he went full fucking tilt.
Absolutely.
Even cut his hair short. It looked a little weird to me. You know what he looked like with short hair? He looked like Hetfield. He looked like Papa Het when he cut his hair for the for the Load album.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sitting looking at him, I'm like, why does he look like Hetfield from the Until It Sleeps video?
I know. What were your thoughts on this match? What was your thoughts on 2001 RVD and Taker?
Oh, it was damn good. I mean, I don't want to sit there and say it was poetry, but it was.
Was it poetry in motion?
No, that was 2 matches ago. Shut up. You're not funny. Nobody finds you funny.
Sorry, I'm in my own prison.
I mean, for a hardcore match, I miss the old hardcore matches, not these Extreme Rules matches now, but I miss these hardcore matches. There was something beautiful about them. But I mean, this is Taker kind of going out of his realm. You don't really know him doing many hardcore matches,
right?
I mean, and when Taker hit you with a chair or anything, like my teeth rattled watching it on TV. I was like,
oh boy, yeah.
Like, oh.
You ain't lying, man.
Even some of the shots that RVD swung with those chairs, Taker isn't putting his hands up. He's like, yeah, I'll take these hits.
Mm-hmm. Women's championship match, Trish Stratus versus Jackie. Trish continues her championship run here in just over 3.5 minutes. To me, it was passable. It again, can't do a whole lot in 3.5 minutes because that includes your entrances and all that stuff. What was your thought on this? This was right before the meteoric rise, basically, of Trish Stratus. What was your thoughts on Trish in 01?
The best thing I can say is that Trish got better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was good to see that. And it's good to see that she got better. She progressed. She got better with each match that she did. There were people working with her backstage. Interesting. Mm-hmm. It's almost like how you make a wrestler better is you just, have them train a little more and a little more in-ring work. Listen to the veterans. Who'd have thought? And this is one of the only times I know where a match ended with a fucking backslide pin.
Oh, right.
I was so certain Jackie was going to kick out of that. And I was like, oh, okay then.
Video package airs to set up the 3 matches to end that are going to end the show. At Survivor Series, Kurt Angle cost Team Alliance by hitting Steve Austin with the WWF title, and The Rock beat Austin to win the match for the WWF. Vince wanted to give the WWF title to Angle for his loyalty, but then Ric Flair came back as the new co-owner since he bought Shane and Stephanie's stock. And I'm sure Ric Flair in 01 could not afford that stock. So he was Vince's partner. Vince was freaking out about it. Of course, Flair mentioned the WWF champion Steve Austin against world heavyweight champion The Rock. But then Vince suggested Austin versus Angle and then Rock versus Jericho. And then we get to that final match of this evening for the undisputed champion. Here we go, man. The first big one, WWF Championship, Stone Cold Steve Austin as the incumbent champ versus the Olympic gold medalist himself, Kurt Angle. Man, I could watch this match every day. I mean, 15 minutes. Stone Cold gets the win by pinfall. But, man, how just incredible is Kurt Angle? It's just...
Kurt and...
He's special.
Steve. That's weird saying that. The two of them had such good chemistry.
Perfect chemistry.
It was it was like these guys were meant to just feud forever.
Yeah.
They never had a bad match together.
Never.
Including the Armageddon Hell in a Cell, which I mean,
right?
We talked about that the last time. And,
yes.
I mean, I thought this where that could have been better, still not terrible. And Austin and Angle they had it. They could go.
Yeah.
And they could spar verbally with each other.
Oh, for sure. And they were so good with comedy, both of them.
Oh, yeah.
They got later on during the match, Austin kicking out the Angle slam, which was huge. Then Angle went for a stunner. Austin got out of that and finished him off with his own stunner. A good, clean finish, especially because of the 2 matches that followed this. It's Austin and Angle. I will forever be interested in anything that Steve Austin and Kurt Angle. So with this win, this means that Austin was still the WWF champ and he would wrestle again after the next match. JR speculated on if it would be Austin versus The Rock, which is what a lot of fans expected. We obviously did not get that, but I'm sure most fans at the time did expect Austin versus The Rock again. So let's go to the next match, World Heavyweight Championship, The Rock versus Chris Jericho. Look, I thought this was spectacular, and I didn't remember it being good because I've seen these guys in the ring together before, and I thought the chemistry was not great. I always saw Chris Jericho was not great from a chemistry perspective with the headliners, with the tippy top guys, except for Shawn Michaels. I thought for a while he and Triple H didn't mesh well. Same with like Austin and Rock. Even against like Kane or Taker, I didn't think Jericho was always that great. But on this night against The Rock, spectacular, dude. Jericho pins The Rock after 19 minutes. Obviously a little bit of interference, of course, but still just an eye-opening shocker here with Jericho becoming the new world champ. I gave this 4.5 stars, man. What did you think?
It was, I forgot how, and this is why I picked this paper, because I knew it's been a while since I've seen it, but you know what? I want to go back and revisit this. And I'm glad I did, because I'm like, wow, sure. I forgot how good this match was too. Like it was like all four of these guys showed up with like their best foot forward. Like they showed up A+ games out of all four guys. And just, I mean, even like Vince interfered, but him and The Rock were, obviously feuding a little bit. So of course there was going to be some sort of interference. But I did not expect Jericho to win this. So I was pleasantly surprised with it. I was like, holy shit. Like, I was like, maybe Jericho is going to win this.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm watching this and I'm putting myself in 2001 Chris body. And I'm just like, I still think Austin's going to. Why wouldn't Austin become the undisputed champion?
Yeah. Why would you think otherwise?
Exactly. So Chris Jericho's handed the world championship, and then boom, the glass breaks. Steve Austin is coming out. He didn't have the WWF championship with him. Austin gets into the ring, goes after Jericho with some right hands, but then Angle shows up and hits Austin in the head with a steel chair. Great steel chair shot. Austin got his hands up to protect himself. Thank God. Rock went into the ring and hit a rock bottom. Thank God Rock wasn't swinging chairs, because my man will just kill you. Ask Mick Foley or Ken Shamrock. Rock left the ring and chased Angle up the ramp to the back. The bell rings and starts the match of both guys going out to the mat. At the end of this, man, only 12 minutes from bell to bell, and we've got a new undisputed world heavyweight champ, and it ain't Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's Y2J Chris Jericho. I gave this final match about 3.5 stars. I thought it was pretty good. Not nearly the same level as the previous two matches, which was really hard to beat there.
There was there was a lot going on this match.
There was a lot of brouhaha going on.
You had the interference from Angle, you had the interference from Rock, you had a ref bump, then you had Vince bring out Nick Patrick, and then Ric Flair's like, no, I know
low
this
blows.
I know this motherfucker from back in the WCW days. He ain't counting shit.
Yeah,
he sure as hell ain't gonna do a slow count. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, the attack by Booker T felt random, which broke the back of Stone Cold Steve Austin, by the way. I just thought that this main event was very, very tainted when I look back at it now.
Was that the match? Was this where Austin got hurt by Booker T? I thought he got hurt by Booker T at King of the Ring.
Oh, that was King of the Ring. I'm so sorry. I'm sitting here thinking about Booker T. I'm like, was that when he put him through the table? No, that was King of the Ring. You're right.
Because Booker T, and I mean, I'm actually surprised that Booker T and Austin didn't get a pay-per-view match.
Well, I mean, the first time Booker sees him, he breaks his back.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot happens in that kind of time.
I mean, granted, yeah, we didn't get a pay-per-view match to him, but we did get that great beatdown inside the grocery store, which
will live forever.
Which still stands as one of the greatest segments of all time.
Absolutely, without a doubt. So yeah, I at the end you hear JR yelling, "For the love of God, I cannot believe this." So I just feel like this match was really tainted. I thought it was overbooked. all you needed, I mean, was it a case of you didn't want Austin to lose clean in the middle without any hijinks? And is this going to lead to a rematch further down the line?
Jericho's the heel, so it kind of makes sense
Yeah.
for him to win the match with a little bit of shenanigans.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Austin losing due to interference kind of helps him, makes him still. I mean, you're not going to worry about Austin ever looking weak, not during this time period.
Yeah.
But,
so I do look back at this now and I go, look, was it a cheap win to become the first ever undisputed champ? Of course, but he's a heel, so that was his character. I doubt many people went into this show, nobody, in fact, thinking Jericho was going to leave as a champ. So I think WWE also realized, dude, like as they needed more heel main event talent. And this is a really good way to elevate Jericho to that spot. They knew Triple H was on his way back in a couple weeks to return, probably heading, obviously already planned out that he was going to win the Royal Rumble. Austin and Rock were well established with, The Rock is now at this point venturing into movies, so you never know how long he's going to be around. Angle's already a top guy. I think giving the title to Jericho was a smart move because at this time in December, the NWO's coming in. So you're going to pin them with The Rock and Austin. So you need another top guy here to go to WrestleMania because you're not going to keep the title on Austin here to go up against Scott Hall. Or if they do end up going up against Hogan, and if The Rock, again, the title's not going to be up for grabs there with the returning Hogan. So if they're going to do something big for Triple H, which is a mega return as a babyface here, it makes sense to put the title on Jericho to send him to WrestleMania, I guess, right?
But even when Jericho defended the title at the Royal Rumble against The Rock and then at No Way Out against Austin,
2 good matches.
Both of those matches had some like shenanigans in them. Jericho finding a way to escape with the belt. I mean, it's chicken shit heel 101. Like
right.
he's gonna find a way to he's gonna find a way to win and keep the belt, by hook or crook. So
right. All right. Out of 10, what do you give this show?
I mean, it's carried by this little mini tournament. By these
3 matches. Yeah.
4 guys, 3 matches, 2 belts, 1 champion. I remember like the build up for it because it would count down from 4 to 1. It lives rent free in my head for 22 years, 23 years now, I guess.
Yes.
Well, 22 because it was December.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going 6.5.
Okay.
Because the undercard was not great.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like the Intercontinental title match. I think that could have went a little longer. I did like the Taker and RVD stuff, but everything else was weak.
So I give this a 7. So I was right around your mark. Obviously, I don't think it was great. I think it's absolutely carried by those 3 matches. Jericho was a guy they chose to make the first ever undisputed champion on the show. So the shock factor played a part in my rating as well. Should they have saved this for a bigger show? Maybe a month later at the Royal Rumble, you crown a new undisputed champion, maybe. And at the end of the night, when Triple H is winning the Royal Rumble, the undisputed champion meets him in the middle of the ring, maybe. I don't know. Maybe save that for the Royal Rumble. I don't know. I don't know. But then you have, Undertaker and RVD was tremendous. So I thought it was a pretty good show. I really do. I think the match of the night was hands down Chris Jericho versus The Rock. As much as I love Steve Austin and Kurt Angle, which I do, man, there was a feeling about that Rock and Jericho match. Like it was electric. And I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of The Rock's best singles matches as well. So yeah, I give this a good 7 out of 10. I thought it was fun. I'm really happy that you chose this and I could go back and watch it. I'm probably going to watch it again really soon. Tomorrow I'm going to watch the 2005 Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that in the morning. I'm excited.
Yeah, so we'll try to
have a fresh cup of coffee from Timmy Ho, maybe a couple donuts, make you
jealous. How about you drive your sweet ass over to my house tomorrow morning with some of that stuff and we can watch it together.
All right. Don't you fucking tease me because I'll do it.
I mean, you're bringing Timmy Hortons, I'll let you do whatever you want.
Bold statement.
Very bold. All right, so that was Vengeance 2001, guys. We're gonna have Royal Rumble 2005. I think we're gonna stream that maybe Saturday night. We could try to do it tomorrow.
Let's try for tomorrow. Saturday might be a little rough for me, but let's try tomorrow.
So I'm trying to think of tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I think, works. Yes, tomorrow night does work. So Friday night, tomorrow night, we are going to be doing Royal Rumble 2005. That starts our month of Rumbles. Again, I'm trying to hammer out the schedule of the Rumbles we're going to cover because we're getting closer to the show, obviously. And then we're in WrestleMania season. But there's a lot going on. I know our show next week.
We're in Super Brawl season.
You're damn right we are. Yeah, thank you guys so much. This has been the Hot Tag Wrestling Show at the Hot Tag Podcast on Instagram for any show updates. And of course, if you are watching this or streaming us on YouTube, like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications for when we go live or any other clips or reels. Just pay attention to the Hot Tag Show. We're coming back here tomorrow night. Looking forward to the Rumble from 18 years ago, 19 years ago.
19 years ago.
Holy cow. 2005. That has to be because I graduated high school in 2005. So 19 years ago.
I didn't.
No, you didn't. No, he graduated high school in 1993.
I did.
It's so funny. All right, guys. Have a great less than 24 hours because we'll see you very, very soon. I'm Chris Francisco. That's George Rogers, and we'll catch you guys down the road. Have a great one, everybody.